Hello and welcome to Teamwork Equals Dreamwork, our coaching session here at Essential Education, giving you the people skills that you need for work and life. It is part of an ongoing series that we are doing here in the hopes of equipping our dream chasers and life changers in their next steps in life and your next steps in life as you look to the top skills that employers want here in the new century. One of those valuable and ever sought after skills is teamwork. And so that's what we're going to jump into today. My name is Jen Denton, and I'm the student success coach here at Essential Education. And one of the greatest parts of my job is being able to work with students, talk to them about their goals and their aspirations, their dreams, and what it takes to get from point A to point B. And so anything that we can do, anything that I can do to help equip you with the tools that you need, that's what we are all about, and that's what we're here for. I think when it comes to this idea of teamwork, and I love this picture because it's just really diverse with all different types of people, all different, seemingly different backgrounds and different lives. Each one of these smiling faces represents a different personality, a different life experience, a different path that they've taken to get to where they are. And in the midst of all that, I still think there's a commonality. I think that we all want a bright future, this path to success, a meaningful career. And more often than not, no matter how hard we try, even if we're an extreme introvert, this is not an adventure that we can embark on completely alone. At some point or another, we are going to have to interact with people. You may have heard the phrase teamwork makes the dream work, but have you ever really considered just how true that is? Now, this is a lot easier for some of us than others because some of us are just people. We might look like this guy where he just looks like he's taken in everything this person across from him is saying. They can talk to anyone, they can relate to anyone. They would say that they thrive on communication. While others of us are introverts and we crave personal space, we crave this solitude that comes in dwelling within our own space and our own mind and our own thoughts, and so it makes interactions with people a little bit more difficult. But regardless of our personality type, our life experiences, our goals, etc., we really can complicate our relationship with others, making reaching our dreams and our goals not only about the work we put in, but how well we blend and coordinate those efforts with others. While introverts crave that personal space and solitude, extroverts want to jump in and get their own ideas and own advances in the works. And so combining those two things, along with lots of other communication styles, can be challenging. But we always have to start at why this teamwork is so very important. Well, one of the reasons that it's important is we just have to be able to work with other people. Again, as I said, very few positions, very few careers are you going to have where you're going to be able to work in isolation, where you're going to be able to work in solitude. So you just have to, in some way, shape, or form, learn that interacting with people is required to do a good job. You will be asked about teamwork skills in an interview setting. So you have to be prepared for that answer. You have to be prepared to give a good answer. So, bottom line, first thing off, you just have to be able to work with other people. The other thing that can really come from being a quality team player and learning how to work well with others is you really can learn. Everyone brings something to the table. I thank lucky stars all the time that we are all different, that we can all fill in each other's gaps. There's always a new skill, a new idea, a new approach, a new problem that we can learn from others if we just take the time to listen. You know, have you ever been staring at a situation for so long that you're just so close to it? You're so emotionally involved in a situation that you just can't see clearly? Other people can step into that without emotion. They can give you a new and a fresh perspective, and you really can learn to be a better worker and maybe even a better person. So that's another reason why teamwork is important. Another thing is you can lead. The bottom line is you can't work with people. If you can't work with people, you can never really lead people. A good coach knows the value of teamwork and the specific skills each player brings to the team. And so leaders know that they need that team. They need to be able to rely on all the employees with all their different skill sets to come together. And so if you see yourself as somebody that can be a potential leader, teamwork skills are essential. Again, if you can't work with people, you can never lead people. And then here, it might sound a little cheesy, but if you can really, really embrace the value of teamwork on the job, you can really learn to love what you do. And so that your career can be something that is not just a job, something that enhances your life, something that brings you joy. And you may never really like everyone you work with and work for. But when you value and respect the work of others, your work environment can be peaceful, it can be productive, and it can allow you to truly love what you do and be proud of how you do it because you have extended respect and you've given respect and care for the people within your team. You've allowed yourself to learn and grow, and when you get the chance to lead others, you've led them well. Those are things to be really, really proud of in your on the job accomplishments. So, I love this graphic because it gives this acronym for team and it says together everyone achieves more. And that's very, very true. In other coaching sessions, we've given this illustration of how one light bulb added to another light bulb, added to another light bulb, representing ideas. One idea plus one idea plus one idea gives this big idea. And when we take all perspectives, all points of view into account, then we really can achieve more. And that's one of the big reasons why employers want this skill, because what employer or business owner wouldn't want to achieve more in the day to day? But when we say together everyone achieves more and we create this team, we have to consider who is a part of that team. Exactly who do we need to build good working relationships with? And I think this boils down to three major categories. We need to build good relationships with our coworkers. This is, probably the most influential area around us because they're the people we probably spend the most time with, coworkers along with our supervisors. But then if we are in customer service or if we interact with people at all, our clients and our customers, the people that we see on a daily basis, we also need to create and manifest a teamwork approach with those people as well, realizing that they also have perspective that they bring to the table and they deserve consideration when it comes to proper communication and working with them as well. So this is a pretty big group. It's a pretty different, diverse group. So how do we do that? With so many different personalities, with so many different perspectives and takes and wants and needs, all that life stuff that gets in the mix. How do we stay on our A game when it comes to being a good team player? Well, the first way is to take a brutally honest look at yourself. And this is, again, easier for some than others. But the first question you should ask yourself is, how do you work? Just bluntly ask yourself, do I work well with others? Am I somebody that's easy to work with? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Nobody really likes to think about that or talk about that. That's why it's easier for some than others. But what is your work style? What are your habits? How do you handle stress? How do you handle criticism? How do you handle frustration? If praise is given to the group, do you take that all for yourself? Or do you push it off on other people in a self deprecating way? Like, how do you work? How do you process all of those things? There could be negatives to that and there could be positives to that. But asking yourself those questions and realizing those things about yourself give you a really good benchmark for the things that you need to work on when it comes to teamwork and the things that really sell you when it comes to your ability to work with a team. So after you've evaluated yourself, ask yourself, how do I respond to the work of others? How do you handle the mistakes and then the successes of others? Do you respond differently to personalities that are like yours? Do you respond differently to personalities that are completely different than yours? Which personalities do you tend to mesh with better than others? We're all going to have a lot of feelings about how we work with others, and those feelings are never wrong. People are going to drive us up a wall some days. It's just life, it's just how it is. But remember, regardless of how you feel, you can always control your response. So ask yourself, how do I respond to the work of others? What do I bring to the table, and how do I respond to what others bring to the table? Answers to both of those questions will really give you key clues into answering the big question of, are you a team player? It's a standard interview question. It's going to be asked a lot of you as you enter a changing job market. Hey, are you a team player? And just like any of these other skills that we're going to highlight in these coaching sessions, it's not just enough for you to say, sure, I'm a team player. You have to be able to give really good examples of how you're a team player. You need to have talking points. So doing this self-evaluation is a really great place to start. But once that's done, we might need to look at places or ways that we can exercise our team playing skills so that we really hone those skills and really shine in this regard. And then also that we do have things to talk about in that interview when asked if we are a team player. So when do we have to put these skills to work? If you're in an interview and somebody says, are you a team player? And you say, sure, I'm a team player. Well, when have you had to put those skills to work? Well, in one of those areas, it's when information is shared. Sharing ideas, sharing decisions, and sharing praise. These are three big points where teamwork is really, really important. When it comes to sharing ideas, are you somebody that just cares about your own ideas and not the ideas of others? Are you an active listener? Are you somebody that takes the big picture into account, where you're able to look at how a given problem or a given situation affects all people and really listen to those ideas? Once a decision's made, even if it wasn't your idea, are you someone that can say, you know what, that wasn't my idea, but I'm going to get on board and we're going to go forward without any other discussion? That's a really important teamwork quality. And how do you handle praise? If, do you share that praise? I worked in an environment once where there was a member of the group who really had a problem letting go of the control. And whenever praise was given, there was oh, thank you so much. I worked so hard. This is what I did on this part of it. Are you that person? Because that can really cause a breakdown in that teamwork. If an effort was made as a group, then you accept that praise as a group. Now, this is by no means telling anyone to not accept praise and not to be able to say thank you for your individual efforts, but be really careful in how you accept that praise, because it can affect that dynamic within your team. And this is when things are good, you share those ideas, you share those decisions, and you share that praise. But sometimes when things are bad, you also have to watch that trickle down and say, you know what, we came up with that idea, we came up with that decision as a group, and so we're all going to work through the consequences of that. Teamwork can be something that helps you build to a really important solution, and it can also be a really good safety net as you're trying to work out issues that arise from, maybe decisions or ideas that weren't the best to follow through on. So make sure that you're using teamwork when it comes to sharing ideas on the job. Another way that you get to exercise your teamwork ability and then talk about your ability to be a good team player is in the area of solving conflict. Sometimes things are rough and conflict does occur. I love this picture because everyone has a big smile on their face, but everybody also has this little cutout bubble where maybe they're even thinking or wanting to say something that's going through their head. Most conflict on the job comes from the same place that it comes for conflict in life. When there's a difference of opinion, when there's a difference in priority, and when there's that difference in work style. Let me give you some examples. So obviously, a difference of opinion speaks for itself. You come to the table, you've got a set viewpoint on something. Someone across the table has a completely opposite viewpoint, and you start to hash that out. And I think a problem in our country, a problem in our world, I get a little bit of a soapbox moment here, is that we don't know how to adequately have a difference of opinion while still being respectful of the other person. This is something that we can all work on. That it's okay that we disagree. It's okay that we have differences of opinion. Again, we need those differences of opinion to get from point A to point B and have true progress. But where we often miss the boat is being respectful of that individual and respectful of that person, regardless of whether we agree with them or not. And so if you really want to build teamwork, try out your skills with seeing how well you get along with someone who has a difference of opinion. That'll really put your teamwork skills to the test. This difference of priorities, I see this come up. I've worked for a lot of educational and nonprofit organizations in my work life, and they've all been, for the most part, organizations or groups that are working toward a cause, toward a really good end. And with that comes a lot of passion. And all of that passion is for a great purpose, it's for a great reason. But sometimes we get so clued into our own passions and our own priorities that we forget to take others into account. And so this can be a really sticky place. Again, in that self evaluation, as you're patting yourself on the back for all the great work that you're doing and the great passion that you're running after, ask if you're running over people in the process. That might be a good place to stop and ask yourself, am I a good team player when it comes to my priorities? Or am I missing the fact that my priorities are hurting the priorities or the work of others? And when it comes to work styles, look, everybody works differently. You've got super organized Sally, who's got post-its for every day of the week in a different shade and a million different highlighters, and all of her pens are color coded into different mason jars. And then you've got, you know, crazy, the pig pen of the group who works in absolute chaos, but somehow pulls out these brilliant ideas. Different people are going to have different work styles, and being a team player learns that you have to sometimes take a step back. This is hard for me and my OCD friends out there. Take a step back and realize that everyone is going to have different work styles, and we have to be respectful of. So, in the midst of all these differences, how can we work together to solve conflict? Well, again, we can consider the point of view of the other person. We can consider their work style, their personality, and we can do this by getting to know our coworkers, or at least their perspective. Perspective changes everything. When you understand where someone is coming from, what makes them tick, why they cringe at the things they cringe at, or why they get excited about the things they get excited about, that really can go 10,000 miles in having a better working relationship with them, because you're understanding their perspective, you're understanding and considering where they're coming from. And after that consideration, consider the person. There is a person in the midst of that personality. Personality comes from a person. They may have things going on in their work and their life outside of work that makes them react in the way they do. So consider that person, their behavior, their work style. All of these things go into what makes up these people that we work with. It goes into what makes you up, your behavior, your work style, your perspective, and the consideration that you want from others. That golden rule: consider others as you want to be considered. And realize at the end of the day that it's not about you. It's a team for a reason, and it's not always about you, your priorities, or what's best for you. And again, we've got that self-evaluation part in there. The sooner you can learn to be a self-evaluator, the stronger you are going to be as an employee and as a person in general. We all have things that we can bring to the table, but we also all have things that we need to stop and consider how we can do better. Communication is obviously a big part of teamwork. Using I versus you phrases can be really, really helpful when you communicate. It's important to say, oh, I understood this to mean XYZ instead of you said that you were going to be at work at 8:30. You know, if you start it that way, it can come off as being a part of the blame game. Let's say that that was the miscommunication. You understood your coworker to say you were going to meet at 8:30 to work on this project, and they didn't come in until 9. If you start by saying you said you were going to be here at 8:30, they're automatically put on the defensive. So, what about approaching it from the standpoint of, oh, I'm sorry, I understood that we were going to meet at 8:30. Did I misunderstand that? You're asking a question, you're putting it to some degree on you, you're taking the blame game out of it, and you're also taking emotion out of it. As much as you can, and in very few incidents are a lot of our work conflicts truly life or death. There's always exceptions to that. Our first responders make life and death decisions all the time, and their teamwork is essential. Their communication is essential. But for 98% of us out there, it's not a life or death situation. It's not a take it or leave it situation. But we get so involved in it, so immersed in it, that we get emotional. And so there are often lots of times that we can take emotion out of a situation, calm ourselves down, take a deep breath, and our communication is a lot better. And we also have to learn that, compromise is a part of it. And I think a lot of people think about compromise as giving something up, and that is a part of it. It's coming to this middle ground, but I like to think of it as giving a little to get a little, and that it is a win-win situation as we're looking at problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, proper communication, all of these things that employers want to see from you. The ultimate is that they want a win-win for everyone. Of course, they want to win for their company. Of course, they want whatever organization you're working for or you're attempting to work for to be successful. They want to win in that regard. But any leader who's worth their salt, any leader who is caring about their employees, they really do want their employees to get along well and to have a successful and a harmonious work environment, because it is a win for everyone all the way around. And this is where teamwork really can equal dream work. The point I want you to realize is, yes, not everyone is going to get along. Not everyone is going to be your friend, and that's okay. That's okay. But job relationships can be productive. They can be productive from a work standpoint where things are getting done and you are able to gain more as a team than you ever would as an individual. And if you're lucky enough to really get to a space with your with your teammates where you can work with a level of respect and energy that really takes everyone into account, it really can make for a really delightful life career environment. And that's what we want for everyone. These people that say, I've never worked in a day in my life because I just love what I do, a large part of that is their ability to manage working in teams well and having a healthy work environment. We hope this session has been helpful. As always, we are here to help you. We have a great program called Work Essentials that includes everything we covered today, plus lots of other helpful information to get you started and continue in your success on the job. I'm your student success coach, part of our student success team here at Essential Education. 1-800-460-8150. You can always reach out to us, and there's my direct email, jen@essentialed.com. Short and sweet sessions because we want to give you bite-sized pieces of helpful information to get you going and keep you going on these next steps in life. We hope you had a great time, and we hope to see you next time.